So as we take our breath in, acknowledging the God within, holding this breath because it is so precious and dear, and releasing it in the love that it is. I know that God is and all there is, and that unity consciousness is a given. Each one of us in our own God stuff is unity, and yet we are unity with all and without any separation. What a divine existence. And to get to declare in this moment of time, understanding that God is and that unity is a given, that we are all here by this divine appointment, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, no matter where we are in this moment in time. Because each of us knows that each of us is receiving exactly what we are meant to be receiving. And each of us, as members of the team presenting today, are giving exactly as the vessels that we are of the God stuff we are receiving the messages from God to give out exactly what is to be meant to be heard. So I definitely know this is true for the loving presence of Neil, our practitioner who is in ministerial school, giving us exactly what we are meant to hear today in the Sunday message. This beautiful music, Adrian with his wonderful team of helping who he is as a team of one much of the time, doing such a fabulous job. I know each of us in our hearts are feeling the gratitude that is just knows no boundaries. So I know that you and I can affirm and aver by saying, and so it is.
We believe in spiritual living. Above all else, it is a philosophy that urges us to focus on how to think and not what to think. It invites us to practice this philosophy and apply it to our lives right now by living with principles. Our relationship with God is a personal one. We believe that God is all that there is. Every person, place, or thing is not only an expression of God, but God itself. God is the absolute presence that not only creates, but is itself all things. All the love, peace, and beauty is in each of us as the presence of God right now. I know this of you, too. You are just as divine because God is within you as well. Together we are all connected as one. Our faith allows us to apply this philosophy to our lives in every moment of every day. As we live in love, we see love revealed and flowing through the world around us. We act as citizens of this spiritual community at all times. This is how we think. We believe in God, we believe in ourselves, and we believe in you because we believe in spiritual living.
Good morning. Again, my name is Neil Hayner. I am a practitioner extraordinaire and ministerial intern. I'm glad to be with you this morning. For those of you that are in person and online. So our theme this month has been the soul's call. So last week we started this conversation about what it is that is the soul's call. The soul's call is that beautiful, complicated, deep calling within each of us to grow, to expand, to go a little bit deeper. That is the call of our soul, to grow, to expand. And we've been talking this month, about things that get in our way. Last week we talked about pain. But there is this deep calling within our souls to grow, to expand, to be that fully expressed, that fully realized expression of God. So speaking of calls, I have some jokes for you. How is a telephone like a dirty bathtub? They both have rings. What do you get if you create cross a telephone with an iron? A smooth operator. How can you tell if a bee is on the phone? You get a buzzy signal. What is the favorite TV show of a telephone number? Game of Phones. All right, last one. I'll stop torturing you. Where do phones like to travel? To the Great Call of China. Thank you. I'm here all month. So we all have this call, right? We all have this soul's call, and hopefully we don't hang up on our soul's call like we do telemarketers. So my topic today is about leaning into discomfort and doubt. Leaning into discomfort and doubt. And for a lot of us, doubt is a lot like that pain that we talked about last week. That doubt can be an avenue for our growth. It is the fertilizer that allows us to grow. And sometimes in the science of mind, there's this idea that's not okay to talk about our doubts. We're supposed to know everything with confidence. We're supposed to claim it, and we have to know it. And we can't ever say, you know what? I'm not clear about that. I'm not sure about that yet. But the truth is in our lives that we all have moments of doubt. And it doesn't serve us to come to church on Sunday mornings and say, I have it all figured out. Because the truth is, last time I checked, let me know if I'm wrong, but none of us are walking on water yet. And in our humanness, we need to be able to come to each other as a spiritual community and say, you know what? I'm not confident about this. I have moments in my life when I'm not sure about what to do next. We all have decisions to make in our lives, and we may not be sure what path to take. We get a diagnosis in our life, and we're not sure what the outcome might be. We're in a relationship, and we're not sure what path is going to lead to our greatest happiness. We all have moments of doubt in our life. We all have moments of discomfort in our life. And it doesn't serve anybody for us to pretend like that's not true. But we do get to remember that that discomfort and that doubt is a path for our unfoldment. It is a way that we grow and expand. It is that fertilizer for our growth. We don't all have it figured out. So how is it that we, as science of mind practitioners, big P and little p, that we deal with those moments in our lives when we have doubt? Well, the first step is, of course, Ernest Holmes said, you can't, well, he didn't actually say it this way, I'm paraphrasing, but you can't heal what you can't feel. You can't heal what you can't heal. You can't heal what you can't feel. You need to be able to acknowledge the thing that is real in your life before you can use it to transform your life, before you can heal it. We can't heal what we can't feel. We need to acknowledge the doubt. We need to acknowledge the discomfort in our lives. We are so fond of saying that, we give other people the benefit of the doubt. Do you give yourself the benefit of the doubt? So let's start by looking at when we doubt. I think there are two times in our life when we doubt. The first is when we run out of map. Here's what I mean by that. We all carry around these maps in our heads that say how life is going to go, what life is like, what we believe about ourselves, what we think that other people think about us. We have this map in our head about what our week or our month or the next 5 years of our life is going to look like. And then we come to these moments in our life when we run out of map. And we don't have a map for what's going on. We get a diagnosis, we get some news, we have a decision to make, we have a new relationship, and suddenly we don't have a map for what's in front of us. We come to that edge, and we look out and we think, now where do I go? Now what do I do? That's a moment of doubt. We run out of map. Just me? You guys? Ever happened to you? When that happens, we have the opportunity to keep moving forward, to make a new map. Or some of us like to stand on the edge, right? But then you're constantly in a state of fear. You're not moving back, you're not moving forward, you're just standing on that edge. Doesn't feel very safe. And then some of us like to turn back and go back to the map where we came from. Be like, oh no, I'm not doing that. I'm going back to what I know. Right? But the thing about that is when we go back and we go back to what we know, we are missing out on the opportunity for growth. We're missing out on that opportunity for growth and expansion. And the truth really is, usually, when we go back to what we know, there's a part of us that feels like it's missing out. We know that we're doing the same old things. We're doing the same map. We're traveling the same roads. There's a part of us, that soul's call, that wants to make that new map, to make that new path. The second place where we often doubt is when we forget that there's only one power. Right? We think that it's possible for good to happen to us or not good. And if it's possible for good to happen and not good to happen to us, then we are in doubt about which decision to make that's going to be the right one. But in those moments when we think about, is it this way or this way, right? You're saying that there's more than one thing going on. There's a good way for this thing to happen, and there's a bad way for this thing to happen. But the truth is that we are surrounded by this vast consciousness that we call God, or you might call the universe, or intelligence, or infinite love, that knows everything. And so it already knows the outcome, all the possible outcomes of our decisions. And when we start thinking about the fact that there's more than one power, there's two things happening. There's a good thing that I can choose from and a not good thing that's happening. And I have to be able to figure out which is the best way. So, for those of you taking notes, I have 3 principles, 3 processes, and 3 practices. The first spiritual principle is there are no mistakes. I was thinking about, as we were listening to that song, about that old saying that says, it doesn't matter how many times you fall down, it matters how many times you get up. Really, in life, from a standpoint of spiritual living, which is all what we're here to do, right? Spiritual living, Center for Spiritual Living. There are no mistakes. Ernest Holmes wrote in The Science of Minds on page 290, there are no mistakes in the divine plan, and there is no plan for humanity other than the divine plan. That map that we think that we don't have already exists in the mind of God. That map, that there's an intelligence in the world that already has that pattern, that map, and it knows where you are. And it knows where you're going. But here's the other thing about that. We come to this moment of doubt in our lives and we say, I need to either go left or I need to go right. When we come to those places of doubt, I'm going to go a little deeper with you here this morning. What we're really doing is that we're limiting God. We're saying God can only show up in this way or that way. Right? Those are the only 2 ways that God can show up. I can either make the choice to take the new job or I cannot take the job. But even when we're presented with those 2 choices, you're still limiting God. Because the truth is, God can show up in either one of those ways. And God can show up in the way that you haven't thought of yet. So when we get to this idea that we think that there's only one way or one choice that's going to lead to our good, that's when we're in doubt. When we think that there's only one way that good can show up for us, and we have to somehow figure out which is the way that good's going to show up for us. But that's simply not true. Ernest Holmes goes on to say in The Science of Mind that we stand at the point of limitless possibilities, which are forever seeking expression through us. We stand at the point of limitless possibilities. When I am standing on the edge of that map of my life and I'm not sure where to go next, it's not that I can go left or I have to go right. It's that I am standing at a place of limitless possibilities. And suddenly, the doubt's not quite so powerful. Because whatever I choose, whatever limitless possibility shows up, I know that God is there too. Now, of course, there are always ways in which we act, decisions that we make that could have been better. Some of us leave our coffee cups on the altar, right? There are unskillful ways that we show up. But here's the thing, there's no judgment and there's no condemnation in that. It's just an unskillful, unmindful thing that we did that we get to learn from. There's no judgment, there's no condemnation in God. There's just an opportunity for growth, for practice, and reflection. There are no mistakes. There is only limitless possibilities, and we stand on the edge of limitless possibilities. Are you with me? Second spiritual principle. Here at the Center for Spiritual Living and in Science of Mind, we believe that perfect action is always taking place. That doubt and that discomfort arise when our unconscious mind is in conflict with our conscious mind. We have unconscious patterns and beliefs that are operating in the background of our mind all the time. And we have conscious thoughts and patterns and beliefs that are operating in the front of our mind. And a lot of times when that doubt shows up, it's when those two things are in conflict. Right? Or if we say like, oh, my head wants to do one thing, but my heart wants to do something else. That's separation. Ernest Holmes said that the sense of doubt are echoes of our previous experience. Echoes of our previous experience. We think that because at some point in our lives we made this mistake, that we are liable to make it again. That's an echo of a previous experience. Ernest Holmes says in his book, Can We Talk to God?, that to overcome doubt, we can choose to be certain, expectant, and receptive. Certain, expectant, and receptive. Because the truth is that principle is not bound by precedent. We don't have to live in the echoes of our previous experience. Every day is a new day. Every day we are standing on the edge of limitless possibilities. And just because something happened a certain way yesterday doesn't mean it has to happen that way today. Just because we fell down yesterday doesn't mean that we can't get up today. Just because we went left yesterday doesn't mean that we can't go right today. We are always at a place of choice and limitless possibilities. We choose to be certain, expectant, and receptive. Third spiritual principle. We focus on the absolute. Last week we talked about this idea of transcending the appearance. Transcending the appearance. What does that mean? That means I'm not just looking with my eyes, I'm seeing with my soul. Mistakes happen in the physical world. Accidents happen in the physical world. But at a soul level, at that soul call level, we know that there are no accidents, that everything is happening in perfect divine right action. Here's the thing. If you imagine a painting that is your life, and imagine that you are standing super close to that painting, what are you going to see? You're going to see brushstrokes, or you're going to see pixels. You might see what you think is a mistake because you're standing so close to it. But what happens when we take a step back? What happens when we get a larger perspective? Suddenly, the pattern of the painting makes sense. Suddenly, that thing that up close just looked like a smudge turns out to be a beautiful painting. But that takes our ability to take a step back, to take a wider perspective. What's that wider perspective? God is all there is. That's the widest perspective you can take in life. It is all-encompassing. It is everything. It is the center. It is the circumference. We take that step back and we look at the divine pattern of our life. And we realize that that thing that up close in the moment looked like a mistake turns out to be the most beautiful part of the painting. So how do we do that? 3 processes. Number 1, when we feel that sense of doubt arise in us, that sense of discomfort in our lives, the first step is to pause. And in that pause, we acknowledge that we're feeling doubt. This isn't about having some feel good like, oh, it's all good, I don't have any doubt. Before we can heal it, we need to feel it. Which means we don't deny the things that are real in our life. What we do deny is that they're necessary, permanent, or that we somehow need those experiences. So the first step is we pause. And we ask ourselves, why am I feeling doubt? Well, number 1, we acknowledge the fact that we're feeling doubt. And we ask the question, why am I feeling doubt? Why am I feeling discomfort? What other power do I think is at work here? One of the most powerful questions I was ever taught as a practitioner. What other power do I think is at work here? Think about those moments in your life when you've had discomfort or doubt, or maybe something is in your life right now where you're feeling some doubt. What other power do you feel is at work there? I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm working on getting a new job. And I need to decide whether to take the job or not. What other power do I think is at work? Do I think that there's a power that can keep my good from me? Do I think that there's a power that can keep the perfect job from me? Number 2, we expect perfect action. There is an intelligence that is the mind of God, the conscious awareness of the universe, that is always operating, that I can trust and surrender to, the good that is seeking to express through me. There is this conscious awareness, this perfect intelligence, which we call God, that is always operating, that the outcome. There might be some doubt about if I'm standing really close up, right? But I know that as I take that furthest perspective, if I take a step back, that there's going to be no mistakes. That it's all going to come together in a beautiful painting of life, in a beautiful pattern that I may not be able to see right now, but I know, I trust that it's there. So number three practices. The science of mind is a practice. It's something that you have to do every day to grow, to expand. And just like walking, sometimes we fall down. But here's the thing about falling down. I have these fourth graders, right? And you'd be amazed how often fourth graders like to fall out of their chair. I don't know. It's a thing, right? And so I have this joke with my class. I always say, oh, so-and-so just wanted to check to make sure gravity was working. Yep, gravity's still working. So when they fall out of their chair, I just shake my head and I smile and I say, yep, gravity still works. Just had to test it. But here's the thing. That's like our life, right? We make what looks like a mistake and all we're doing is checking. Yep, principle still works. Yep, God still works. Just checking. So 3 practices. Number 1, an affirmation. It's one of our spiritual practices to remind ourselves that no matter what we see, no matter how close we are to the painting, we remind ourselves of the truth. And this comes from the Science of Mind textbook. And it says, there is a power greater than me, and there is nothing in me that can deny, doubt, or limit this power. My whole being accepts this. There is a power greater than me, and there is nothing in me that can deny, doubt, or limit this power. My whole being accepts this. Spiritual practice number 2 is prayer. Prayer is really the only place where there's no room for doubt. The prayer is where we go to remind ourselves of the truth. And so we do this 5-step affirmative treatment, the spiritual mind treatment. And in that first step of prayer, it is recognition. And what are we recognizing? We're recognizing that God is all there is, that there is this divine and perfect intelligence that is guiding, guarding, and protecting us, and that perfect action is always taking place. That's the first step of treatment as we teach it. We can also do prayer for clarity and acceptance that the perfect action is always taking place. Ernest Holmes says that when prayer removes distrust and doubt and enters the field of mental certainty, it becomes faith, and the universe is built on faith. Third practice, partner up. When you're doubting, reach out to someone else, a prayer partner, a practitioner, a friend who you know is not going to buy into your doubt. A friend or a practitioner who's going to stand and put their stake in the ground and say, I know the truth. You may not be able to see it, but I know this is going to work out for your good. And I believe that with you, and I believe that for you. Partner up. So in closing, doubt and discomfort are a lot like the pain that we talked about in our lives last week. It's part of our human experience. But just like pain, we're invited to use all the conditions of our lives, the manure of our lives, as the fertilizer for our growth. Where are you experiencing doubt in your life this morning? How can you use the spiritual principles that we teach here at the Center for Spiritual Living to transcend the doubts and use it as an opportunity for you to practice at a deeper level? And we close with the words of Ernest Holmes. And I invite you to close your eyes and place your hand over your heart and just know this with me this morning. Ernest Holmes says this: continue to declare that there were no mistakes. There are none, and there never will be. Say, I represent the truth, and nothing but the truth. It is unerring. It never makes mistakes. There are no mistakes in the divine plan for me. There is no limitation or lack. I stand in the midst of eternal opportunity, which is forever presenting me with evidence of its full expression. I am life. There is only one life, and that life is my life now. And so it is. And so I invite you to join me with consciousness this morning as we enter into that atmosphere and that attitude of prayer. We enter into that first step of affirmative mind treatment where we recognize that God is all there is. That energy of love, that energy of intelligence, that all-encompassing wisdom, that perfect love, that perfect action, that perfect balance that God is. It is all that there is. It is all that there has ever been. It is all there can ever be. And so we step into the vastness of God that incorporates everything from the moment we were born until the moment we leave this physical plane. It is guiding, guarding, protecting us, directing us in the ways that we should go to expand and grow. It is who we are. It is that still small voice at the center of our being, that call of our soul. That wisdom, that intelligence, that balance, that is God, is right where we are because it is who and what we are. Every cell of our body, every breath of our lungs, every action and reaction is simply God knowing God. The deep calls unto deep, and the deep responds to deep. And so it is from this place of great unity that I claim and I know, and I speak my word for every single person here this morning within the sound of my voice, where I know and I claim that there are no mistakes. There never has been. Everything that has come before this moment has been perfect because it brought you to this present moment, right where you needed to be, hearing exactly what you needed to hear in this moment. And I also know that whatever it feels like we're lacking this morning, because I know that God is all that there is, I recognize that it is right where I am. Wherever in your life that there feels like a lack or a limitation, I know, I claim, I believe for you and about you right now that there is no lack, no limitation in you because there is none in God. Wherever it feels like there is a lack of balance or perfect action or order or abundance, I know that everything that is needed is present because God is present. And it is from this place of knowing that in great gratitude, I give thanks for this community, for this teaching, for this place that says and reminds me of my own divinity. This community where we come together in love to lift each other up, to remind each other that there are no mistakes. We hold that truth for each other. There are no mistakes, and there never has been. It has all been part of the divine pattern, the divine plan for our lives. And I release this word into that law, that soil, that mirror that reflects back to me perfectly everything that has been planted into it. It is the law of cause and effect, so I know that as I plant the cause, the effect is sure to come. And I see it and I know that it's already present in the mind of God, and it's present in my life, it is present in your life, it is present in all of our affairs and in every decision. And I simply give thanks for it, and in perfect gratitude I say, and so it is. So I want you to hold out your hands. And repeat
Thank you for
after me.
participating in our
There is this thing called life.
online giving by texting GIVE to 951-420-6909. You can visit our website at cslbeaumont.org and click the donate button at the bottom or the top of the screen. Or you can mail your donation to Center for Spiritual Living, 802 Maple Avenue, Beaumont, California, 92223. If you enjoyed this service and are watching on YouTube or Facebook, please like and share this video and add a comment on it. If you haven't already on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel and hit the little notification bell to be updated when we post new content. For those on Zoom, visit our Facebook page to comment and share to help spread this message.